Emmy nominations, that was just the beginning. Welcome to season 2 of Conversations with Katie Hall. We're gonna have deep conversations around my book that just came out, Sacred Pause. It's gonna turn into a series as part of our talk show, continuing our conversations with athletes, mental health professionals in the medical field. We're gonna be talking all about conversations that matter in Washington State and beyond. I'm Katie Hall, welcome to season 2.
Tyler, he loved movies. He was a homebody. He played every sport when he was young. Loved to be outdoors with his mom, loved to go hiking. Of the 3 boys, he was the B type. Tyler was the peacemaker. He was the guy that could get everybody sort of together and work out their differences. I'm telling you these things, and I want you to hear about Tyler, not just because we loved him and what a great kid he was, but the face of suicide and mental illness to this person was unknown.
We still search for the why. People say, you're so strong, and I have another word for it. I call it love. Once you lose someone, that love doesn't stop. And so I took that love, along with Mark, and we channeled that into doing something good. So we formed Hilinski's Hope. We're trying to raise awareness. We're trying to eradicate the stigma. It shouldn't be there. And then we're trying to fund programs that support our student athletes.
Tyler know where he could go to get help? Yep. Was he ashamed to do it? Maybe. Was he embarrassed or worried what everybody would think? Afraid of losing his job? Possibly. We don't have a final answer. All right, bub. So this is going to take a while. This is going to take a while to change. And it starts here.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm Katie, Kim, and Mark. Thank you so much for spending time with me today to talk a little bit about mental health, sports, and also your son, Tyler. I wanted to thank you all for being here from South Carolina, and wanted just to start off with you all so you can share with us about your foundation and the work that you're doing. But before we go to that, I would like to know just a little bit about Tyler.
You know, we have 3 sons, blessed to have 3 sons, and Tyler was our middle son. The sweetest, the kindest, you know, would give you the shirt off of his back, ferocious on the football field, but sort of a gentle giant off of it. And we had no idea that he was struggling. He didn't tell us. He didn't tell his brothers, his teammates, his coaches. And losing him, there's really aren't enough words to describe that pain, you know, the grief that you live with. And it's been 8 years, but he was just that light in a room that drew you to him, the candle that burned just so bright. And while he's gone, and I only had him for 21 years, he was a gift. And Mark says this more than I do, but we love all of our 3 sons, but we really like Tyler. He was just so easy and so good, and really never argued with us. And you know, I'm not painting him as a saint. Of course, you know, he was a teenager growing up, but he was a good kid, and the world is worse off without him being here.
And Mark, but what do you miss most about Tyler?
Yeah, just it's the little everyday things, you know, it's the texts you get out of the blue, or, you know, even the, hey dad, you got $20 for gas, or whatever. We talked a lot, we communicated a lot, we talked about a lot of different things. It never mattered where you're going to dinner or what movie you're going to see. He wanted to hang out with you, and yeah. I miss that the most.
You know, Mark, how did losing Tyler change the way you experience time? You mentioned about the everyday things, memory, or even joy.
If I could just add one more comment, the reason when we found out that Tyler had CTE, or stage 1 CTE, you know, it's very likely that football played a role in it. The timing was such, though, that our youngest son, Ryan, who was having an unbelievable, last year in football and recruited by everybody in the country, we really struggled with that. We were in fact, when Kim opened the letter, we were on the East Coast doing a SEC road trip to the schools to meet everybody and talk. And when we talked to him, he said, look, you don't have to ever play football. And he said, yeah, but what if I wanted to be a pilot? What if I wanted to be a stuntman? There's danger in all this stuff, Dad. And, maybe it did happen. But the second point of that was we didn't want the kids to miss the message on mental health. If they hear CTE, they immediately go, oh, that was the reason. I don't have that. I'm good. On I go. We think Tyler absolutely struggled with anxiety, maybe depression there at the end. And it meant, I'm convinced that mental health, as much as CTE or the combination, was a big part of his demise.
The Hilinski's hope was born really from the loss of Tyler. However, you said you had 400 Tyler Talks. I love the name Tyler Talk. Please keep using that name. Yeah. But what do you hope that this gives to young people and families before they reach a breaking point?
The word in the name of our foundation, hope, right? Our last name and hope. And that's what we do. That's what we do with our Tyler Talks. And we thought if our sweet son, this perfect child, if he was struggling and took his life without reaching out and asking for help, how many other Tylers are out there, right? And so, we knew that we had to put purpose to our pain and continue to share Tyler's story. We thought we're going to share Tyler's story in a way that really hasn't been done before. We're going to visit campuses, mostly colleges and universities. What happens when we do this story? It opens up their heart. It makes the face of mental health struggles real. It helps them take that first step. Use Tyler's story to share how they are struggling.
Kim and I, we know it's a crisis, and doing our part. We're not the only ones. There's plenty of people that are doing this work, but we do it with a little bit of a twinkle. That's kind of how Tyler was.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you too. And this is just the beginning for us, for all of us. And the wonderful thing is Tyler is who brought us together. We would have never met each other if it wasn't for Tyler. And Mark and Kim, I thank you so much. And we're talking about mental health and that we're talking about suicide and what happens to the people who are left behind. Right. And so I thank you so much, both of you, and we will definitely see you soon. Welcome back from that break.
Peace, love, and joy, family. Elijah Lewis here.
Jenine Lewis is a mother whose strength and love continue to speak through her son's legacy. She joins us today to share what it means to carry grief, not just in memory, but in everyday life, and how love endures even after profound loss. I would like to welcome Jenny over to Conversations with Katie Hall to start off talking a little bit about Elijah's life. Can you share with us who is and who was Elijah Lewis?
Elijah Lewis was my son. Simply that. I always knew that he, a reason, as all my children, but he came in this world with hit the ball running, hit the floor running. He was always busy. He was very determined. He was into everything, but it was his way of processing, his world, as all of us. But he was determined to get answers at that moment, whatever it was. He was just like an input, output, and feel, taste, touch, headstrong. He at a young age was out lemonade stand, finding a lawnmower, the kind that you push and pull, and going knocking on the door and getting his friends involved in the whole process. And those entrepreneurial skills were, just natural for him. And And then he had so much energy and frequency that it was like, okay, dial him up, dial him down. You know? He loved animals. He had ideas. He wanted to, you know, like save the rainforest and you name it.
He was so young, and his name precedes him. So his name preceded him walking in the room. People knew who he was. Although I never met him in person, I knew exactly who Elijah Lewis was, not even being from Seattle. And so when you talk about him being your son, and you talk about from the day he was born, he was ready to rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about the legacy, you know, that others have felt from your son's life.
When he passed away, I knew that my son was an entrepreneur. I knew that he was pursuing more than one business. But as far as the impact that he made, I didn't realize it until after the day it happened, the vigils, and the outpour of people coming to me, sharing their stories. That's how I knew, you know, the impact that he made in each person, a profound impact.
Jenine, thank you so much. And thank you for our new relationship, you know, and the other work that you do. We're definitely going to have you as a guest coming on throughout this season to help us talk about grief, help us talk about loss, and help us talk about the rebuild. And I just want to thank you from coming here today. And I want to thank you for everything that you're doing and continuing Elijah's legacy in his name, because it's going to be important that people know who he is 15 years from now and 20 years from now. So thank you so much for everything.
And thank you. Know that I haven't done this by myself. It's been community driven. I've not done it by myself.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Zenovia Harris is a survivor, a leader, and a storyteller whose life was shaped by loss at a very young age. She joins us to reflect on childhood trauma, resilience, and what it truly means to heal over time. Not by erasing the past, she's not trying to do that, but by learning to live alongside it. Zenovia Harris, one of my really good friends, the person I've probably known the longest in Washington State. Thank you for joining me for such a serious conversation. Yeah. And I know your mom was tragically lost about 40 years ago.
Yes.
Think about death and grief. Sometimes we do expect for our parents to pass before us, but not that young.
No.
But would you mind talking to us about your experience with grief?
Yeah.
Starting with 7 with mom.
Starting with 7. So that's a very young age for anybody to experience that. And death is different. And I've learned that over the years. So having someone, in my opinion, in front of me at 7 being tragically shot and killed is different than all of the other deaths that I've been able to experience since then. What happened is that my life literally changed at that moment. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that day, being in the yard and seeing the car come by. I can vividly remember that. But I think what really happened is the grief didn't happen until after she passed and after people were introduced into my life. People who I thought would have been a role model or an aunt or a grandmother. They did not perform the way I thought that they would perform, right? At this age right now, looking back, if I were a 47-year-old woman talking to a 7-year-old child, how would I support them, right? And so that's where the grief really happened. It's like that incident happened, that was one day, August the 28th, 86. And then I've had 40 years to experience that death over and over and over again visually. And then what happened when she died? Who was I exposed to because I didn't have that mother figure? So.
Absolutely. I want to know, because you've lived a long time with some of the deepest traumas, right? Like you said, like, you know, your mom. And then there's so much that happens in life after you lose your mom.
Oh, yeah.
Those other spiraling relationships.
Yeah.
Zenovia, what do you want people to know?
It may sound like it's not going to be comforting, but grief is in you. It's not beside you. You're not walking beside your grief. You're not sitting your grief down. Your grief is literally inside of you. And the best thing that you can do is figure out, how am I going to show up in the world now? And what did that experience do?
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've done so much for everyone else's organizations. You've done so much. I'm so proud of you. And those young people need you.
Yes, even if they get upset with you or they don't understand. You know how many people are in the world? Someone is going to like a billion, I guess, right? So there's going to be someone that needs to hear that story. You're always going to be able to wake somebody up from that coma. I felt like for years I was in a coma. Probably from 7 to 15, I was in a coma.
Thank you so much for joining me on Conversations with Katie Hall and having a conversation about sacred pause. I appreciate you. Everyone, we just sat down with Zenovia Harris, who's had another excellent deep dive in a conversation with Katie Hall, with Mrs. Zenovia Harris. We will definitely see her back in this season. And thank you so much. In my book, Sacred Pause. Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for meeting with us. Tell us a little bit about what do you do in particular?
Primarily a clinical neuropsychologist. We measure brain functioning, attention, memory, language, making sense out of the visual world, executive functions. So largely we see folks who, may have stroke or neurologic disease, but I also see adults and kids. So lots of developmental stuff like ADHD and autism and that kind of thing too.
And what are you finding like the last 10 years with young kids and autism and ADHD?
Well, certainly the prevalence rate of autism has increased dramatically, probably because the diagnostic criteria changed, when I think there's a lot of it. Older moms have a higher rate of kids who might be on the spectrum, right? And so there's some cultural factors too. And maybe someday we even see some environmental determinants, but
no, absolutely. And the reason I wanted to meet with you today, as I mentioned to you before when we were talking about the episode, is that we're really talking about grief with many different individuals. And I know you have personally experienced grief with losing your first wife while still raising young children. And I just wanted to know, like, when you go back into your experience back then, like, what was that like for you? And then, like, the raising of your children afterwards, after their mom passed.
So I knew my wife had a terminal illness, and that's a different kind of experience. I mean, I think better, when I talk to patients who, it was a car accident, it was, something that was completely unexpected and they didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I think all of that is complicated in different ways, the loss and what came after, one's ability to get through and learn as we go. That's going to fall apart at some point, and it's okay when it does. Somebody else will step up.
Well, the book was me falling apart, truly. And I was able to write a book. And the great thing about it is it's not just a book. I have a column now coming out with the Seattle Times because I had the courage to write that book, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of it. And I do have a question for you. What is that one truth about grief that you wish people knew?
Well, I think it is important to know. At a funeral, someone may say time heals all. Over time and doing some work, this passes. And you're talking about generative grieving. You're talking about the fact that you learned things and went through this process, and because of it, something really kind of beautiful can come out of it, right? It's a spiral, not a line. There's going to be days where you think, finally, that's behind me. Dang it, I thought I was past this. But and it may be that, well, sweetie, the bad news is 3 months from now may be your hard time. Right? It may be that, I always thought grandma was going to do this with me.
Yeah.
And now that's the hard time. And again, just kind of having that grace and being honest and being able to talk about this is really difficult, and it's difficult for different people in different ways. So not expecting a family member to grieve like we do, because like you said, there's a million different factors that come into why, our experience is our experience. Just put all that stuff aside and accept the fact that, hey, this is a really personal experience that's going to be different for me than others. And I need to that help so that I can be the best version of me for the kids in that case, or whomever.
Lise, it's so nice meeting with you today, and thank you for joining us on Conversations with Katie Hall.
I'm Dr. Lee Kearns. I'm a clinical neuropsychologist in Everett, Washington, and I encourage you to join us on Conversations with Katie Hall, where we talk about the really important topic of grief and loss.
Well, Mayor Katie Wilson, thank you so much for joining me on Conversations with Katie Hall. Welcome to office as our mayor of the beautiful city of Seattle, and thank you so much for sitting down with me today. Mari represents a new era of women shaping sports culture from the inside out. Through her work with the Seattle Kraken, she brings visibility, leadership, and she's so authentic to what it means for women to lead in professional sports and beyond. Thank you so much for sitting down with me again. It's been about a year since we had a conversation. How are you?
I'm good. That was such a nice introduction.
Yeah, thanks. Let me talk with you sincerely, and so proud of you, Angela.
Thank you.
I mean, sincerely, veteran journalist, wife, mother, artist. I mean, you can do so many different things.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about why did you choose to tell this story in this way? Welcome to the show, Mauricia. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you so much. So you are here as one of our women, the returning of the Women on the Rise. So thank you for all the work. I wrote Sacred Pause because grief doesn't ask permission. It arrives unannounced, rearranges your life and leaves you to figure out how to keep breathing in a world that no longer looks the same. This moment we're living in is asking us of something: to slow down, to tell the truth about our mental and emotional health, to give ourselves permission to pause, not as weakness, but as wisdom. Sacred Pause is not just a book, it's a practice. And in this season, this series is an extension of that practice, a place where we stop pretending we're untouched by loss, and instead we learn how to live with it honestly. You can learn more about that work at katiehallfoundation.org.